Inspired by classic arcade super hits like Frogger, Donkey Kong, and Space Ace, the Saturday morning Supercade was a direct effect from the video game craze sweeping the world in the 1980s. Join us as we take a look back in video game history at CBS's Saturday Supercade.
Back in like the 80s and early 90s, like cartoons were super awesome, and they were crazy. I mean, we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we had video game cartoons, we had Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, and we had there was such a great variety of cartoons available to watch. Like you would just basically like wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you'd be set till like noon just watching cartoons. It was awesome.
I have very fond memories of Saturday morning cartoons. I remember you know, like most kids wanting to wake up early on Saturday and watching something cool. It always seemed that I would sleep in though, like even when I was little. And like, I remember the second that I heard Soul Train, I knew I'd missed everything. I like lay in bed and I heard Soul Train. That meant my mom was watching Soul Train and I'd missed everything that was good.
Like I remember just getting up super early, like way too early. And my dad would always tell me to like roll over. Roll over was his, you know, just like I'd get up and like be all crazy and be like, go back to bed, roll over. And so that was like all, you know, but as soon as it got like eight, I would like jump on a bed and like run down, and then it was just like, you know, 3 solid hours, like until the cartoons stopped being on, basically, was like when I was watching them. So
Saturday mornings were a special time for a little while when I was a kid, because there was a sweet spot when the cartoons were completely in line with like my interests. So there was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and the Incredible Hulk, because in the comic books, right? So the comic book stuff was great.
Saturday morning, I remember Dungeons and Dragons definitely was like probably at the top of my list. Thundar the Barbarian, definitely way up the top. Nothing to do with games, obviously, but awesome either way.
Back then, cartoons started early, like around 7 in the morning, and then they just kind of went. The 11 o'clock hour got a little dicey for a while, because then it started to like wind down, it started to go away, and then it was just kind of this weird empty feeling that you had.
Saturday Supercade, I vaguely remember that. I remember the song. It was like, it's Saturday morning, let's have fun together.
It's Saturday Supercade, gather round, we'll get your video friends together.
I have no recollection of the song whatsoever. And I was a faithful viewer of the Saturday morning Supercade. I certainly got up, you know, bright and early and excited every morning to watch some of my favorite video game characters in these cartoons.
Supercade, like while I remember most other cartoons, the only thing I really remember about Supercade was that Q*bert wore a jacket. And I'm like, why the F is Q*bert wearing a jacket? It didn't make it, like it was this whole thing about video game characters in their cartoons wearing clothes, when in their video game counterpart they just didn't. Like Pac-Man wore a hat. Why? I mean, why is Q*bert wearing a jacket? He's a weird orange thing that looks like a snork kind of deal. Like, oh, I know, we'll make him like kind of a greaser. That would be great, right?
You know what? I did used to watch that, and I tried really hard to like it, but I didn't like it. I thought it under-delivered on what it was promising. It sounded really awesome. It seemed like it was going to be great, and I watched it a lot, but it just really highlighted to me that I would rather play the games than watch something about the games.
The Saturday morning Supercade, I don't know anything about the Saturday morning Supercade.
Supercade, right? Saturday morning Supercade.
I remember there being a Donkey Kong, which was part of the Supercade, Pitfall, Q*bert, Donkey Kong Jr., I think, at some point.
They had Pitfall Harry.
And I think there was a Q*bert one too.
Space Ace, and yeah. And was there a Dragon's Lair cartoon?
And I love the cartoon version of Space Ace and even Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair wasn't part of the Supercade. Space Ace was part of the Supercade. Dragon's Lair was on ABC, and I'm not sure how that works out. Don Bluth was apparently double dipping.
Frogger. There was a whole thing on Frogger, and that was not a story. There is no story there.
Frogger was like a detective or something? He was a reporter, that's right. He was a reporter, so obviously that's not true.
For a lot of reasons, Donkey Kong is probably the all-time worst of the stuff that we saw. Like, I think that's probably the first appearance of Mario, and you know at this point that's the kind of stuff that Nintendo would like to make go away forever. because that was not canon, that was not nothing. That made Bob Hoskins look like he was super on point with his, representation of Mario.
I remember that stuff mostly as being like I was young enough at the time where, to me, I would basically get as far as this is fake. Because Mario, you look at Mario and he kind of looks like Mario, obviously, but he's got, all these different, he looks a little different. And like, to me, that was the dead giveaway for anything that was, knockoff. That was like, when I was a kid, it was a terrible, very critical as a child. And I was like, this is not, no.
As a kid, I remember being really excited that that show even existed. I think because the early arcade games and early Atari 2600 games, all you got was these pixels, on the screen, really, really basic artwork, and the cartoons totally kind of filled out the world of the characters and the personalities of the characters, and kind of gave you a chance to get to know, a bit more about who they were and what the heck was really going on.
Oh wait, Pac-Man.
Loved Pac-Man. Pac-Man. Yeah, I love the cartoon songs. But yeah, Pac-Man was great. Pac-Man was not part of the Supercade though. Pac-Man was on around the same time as the Supercade, but it was on ABC. Pac-Man was definitely on ABC. But it was a great show.
And so I do remember the Pac-Man cartoon, which was a train wreck. Anybody that saw that thing, I am sorry.
Pac-Man actually, I hated it. I really just hated the Pac-Man cartoon so much because it felt like they were pandering to me as a kid, just like, oh, you can't really understand the abstract nature of Pac-Man, going through a maze and eating pellets and he's being chased by ghosts. So we have to put everything in terms that you'll understand as a kid. So he has a family, there's Miss Pac-Man and there's Pac-Baby. They're just a happily American family and then the bad guys are the ghosts, but it just seems so stupid. I'm like, why don't you just make Pac-Man be Pac-Man? Just, he's eating stuff and then he turns around in the ghosts and he eats the ghosts.
Pac-Man was awesome, but it's weird going back and watching Pac-Man, and I took the time, I went back and watched Pac-Man, and Pac-Man was harsh. Pac-Man was a really harsh show because all it was him and his family trying to do their thing, and these ghosts would come in and try to make it all bad, and then you get the power pellets and eat them. But go back and watch that, and when he chomps on them, and there is genuine fear in those ghosts, and he's like, I'm gonna get, and then he eats them, and it's crazy. It's just crazy when you watch that now.
This baby and this dog and cat, Pac Dog and Pat Cat, they were probably called. I don't know, that was nuts.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show starring Captain Lou Albano and the skinny dude that we saw in other stuff later on.
I was big into pro wrestling when I was a kid too, so having Captain Lou be Mario was hilarious. And the live action bits were just very weird and creepy and not very good, but you kind of put up with them just so you could see the cartoon bits because the cartoon bits were awesome.
I remember when that was coming, and I actually was excited for it. I was like, "This is gonna be awesome," And then, and I do remember when he comes out there and they all do that little slow, weird dance they do and everything, right? I remember thinking it was cheeseball when I was a kid too, but I remember thinking whatever, video games, mainstreaming it, right? Because we got a cartoon now.
Nobody in my elementary school was doing the Mario. Nobody was doing the Mario. People were making fun of the Mario.
That cartoon wasn't bad. I'll admit, now that we're talking about it, that probably was the best one out of all of them. In terms of the character depictions, in terms of what they got into, in terms of the regularity, it was probably the most solid video game cartoon that had been around. But what was really solid about it was when they would bust out with The Legend of Zelda on Fridays. And I remember that cartoon being good. And of course it was the good one because it was only once a week, right? So if it was good, you couldn't have it every day.
On Fridays, they had the Legend of Zelda cartoons. I hated the Legend of Zelda cartoon because they always portrayed Link as this smug kind of jerk. And he's just, oh, excuse me.
Hey, excuse me, princess.
And I hated it. I wanted to punch him. It was terrible. What actually kind of shocked me about the Zelda cartoon was that they used the Zelda theme music in the intro. And I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. You know, they kind of did the same thing for the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, but they put that really weird rap over it.
Captain N, the Game Master? Is that what it was? It was the Game Master, right?
I do remember Captain N, and I do remember bits and pieces there.
The intro was awesome because it starts out with him being a real dude in his house, playing games, and like his mom's like calling for dinner or something like that, and the dog's over there trying to help him.
You're playing your NES, you know, you got your advantage, you're, you know, playing some Mega Man or whatever, and then you get sucked into the, like, Nintendo, and then you're in Nintendo world, like, with your light gun, like, hilarious.
And that was the basis of Captain N, and like, you know, he's this dude with this awesome, cool high school Letterman jacket, and he's got the zapper, and he's running around, and I do remember that intro being especially awesome.
I thought it was just like the whole concept of it was really, really cool, because it was kind of this Tron sort of thing where, you know, this guy plays video games and he gets trapped inside of them. That's crazy. But what I thought was really cool was that how they sort of integrated all the Nintendo Entertainment stuff, like as equipment. Like he had the controller on his belt as his belt buckle, and he can use his special powers by pressing the buttons on there. And he had the zapper as like his special weapon, and all this stuff, and you know, all the characters that appeared in it, even though that like Simon Belmont and Mega Man, just like what?
It's all these characters like a Simon Belmont and Mega Man and like the Mother Brain, and none of the characters bore any resemblance to what I thought of them from the video games. They were just thrown together in this way that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Mother Brain? What?
Like, oh, that's right, the weird Mother Brain, who was like kind of the jive talking Mother Brain.
Mother Brain was kind of like the plant from Little Shop of Horrors mixed with Little Richard.
Like, woo!
And like the voice was awesome too. I'm gonna try to do the voice. All right, here we go. No, I can't do it. Let me think. I can totally hear it in my head, but there's no way I can do that. Like,
Who's too strong for them, King Hippo?
My concept of what Mother Brain was totally not in line with that at all. But again, it was just good to see video game stuff on TV.
all right, here we go. No. No, I'm not gonna do it. Sorry.
I remember the Eggplant Wizard the most. I think he was like one of the prime villains on that show, just like running around with his eggplant staff and his one eye.
Eggplant Man was my other favorite from Captain N because he was an eggplant. And I remember Eggplant Man from, I'm pretty sure it's Kid Icarus, right? And I'm pretty sure one of the dudes from Punch Out, like Bald Bull. No, it wasn't Bald Bull. Was it? Oh, King Hippo. That's right. King Hippo was the other bad one.
King Hippo!
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's how you. King Hippo! No, actually, that's a terrible Mother Brain.
The Saturday Supercade ushered in an era of gaming goodness that greeted children across the United States each and every Saturday morning for years. But more importantly, it cemented the mainstream significance of an industry that, just a few years prior, had been all but dead due to the video game crash in the 80s. Still, as the video game industry has grown up, so has the audience, which has made video game cartoons not quite as visible as they once were. But those of us lucky enough to be kids in that era won't ever forget waking up to Donkey Kong, Frogger, and the rest of our video game buddies.
Hey, cut it out! That isn't funny!
Well, this is...
Will you help you, Cuber?